It's over 9,000!
Welcome, Super Elite Warriors, to Final Forum, a podcast for the discussion of all things Dragon Ball. I am your host, Jelly, an elite recruiting member of the Frieza Force on a mission to find the best warriors from across the galaxy to join the greatest army of all time, and I am joined, as always, by my new recruit co-host.
This is the Bekinney. Do we really have to do this right now? Shouldn't we fight back or something?
Nonsense. It was all a misunderstanding. Our new friends said they're going to help us out.
New friends? They're us. And their autocannons fired on me and blasted me to Kingdom Come.
Which they apologized for and have since recalibrated their weaponry to recognize our dimensional signature as non-antagonistic.
After they killed 4 of me!
No, I sent you out here 4 times and you kept coming back.
You know what?
Wow, this is really how you guys start your show? No, Bekinney's supposed to say, and join us as we uncover the cultural inspirations and hidden history behind Akira Toriyama's seminal franchise.
Hey, that's a good line.
No, I meant all dramatic and faux epic. You guys start your shows like that? Well, we're a Dragon Ball show, so yeah, we're playing on the established tropes of the show. Why? What do you guys do? More our own thing. Yeah? Yeah, observe. Last time, Bekinney examined the world of Akira Toriyama's hit sequel to Dragon Ball Z with Dragon Ball Supreme. We discussed Super Saiyan 5 and the role of Oob in the new order of Dragon Ball's hierarchy. But can this order be maintained, or is it going to be upset by a new transformation? Today on the Scouter Report. The Scouter Report? Yeah, it's a better name, and that's a better intro. But you basically just did the same thing I did. Except good.
Wow. So your jellies like this too?
Like what?
Self-important?
Hey.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, he didn't even introduce you in the intro.
Well, he did say my name.
I like this one. He's grateful for inclusion, unlike somebody.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I'll make sure to thank you at the top of every show moving forward. I'll be like, this is Bekinney. Thank you for that glowing introduction, my liege.
I feel like that would work fine by me.
Yeah, I figured.
Hey, listen, thanks for letting us set up at your table. No problem. We're going to take off for a minute and run some calculations while you guys go do whatever it is you do. You don't want to stay and observe? After that intro, no, not really.
We're gonna see if we can get you guys back home.
You could do that?
Well, interdimensional travel is a new and complicated field, but we think we might be able to trace your DNA source coding back to an origin point in the flow of space-time through dimensional fields and find where you belong.
And if you can't?
Why not let me worry about what happens if they can't?
Because I know you, and I know you have no idea what they're talking about.
I do my best work when I have no idea what people are talking about.
You know, I hate that you're kind of right about that.
And while I smugly sit back, confident in my rightness, let's get into this week's topic. And this week, we are going to finish off the Frieza Arc, finally, with episodes, hang on, don't tell me, 101 through 107? Or is it 102 through 107?
You told me not to tell you.
I told you not to tell me?
Yeah, you said don't tell me. But yes,
it's 102 through 107.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yes.
Yeah, we're doing 6 episodes this week. We are going to finally finish off the Frieza arc. Mercifully, 5 minutes later, all of the cliches. Before we do, let's remind you that if you are listening and enjoying, the absolute best thing that you can do for us is open your podcast app, throw us a star rating, and write us a brief review saying that you enjoy the show. It helps us and helps us grow. And that's what we're trying to do.
Send us your energy for the spirit bomb that won't work.
Hey, it worked one time, so let's see, it's been used how many times? It was used against Frieza?
Vegeta and Frieza.
Vegeta.
So far.
Well, and we also, it's used against Vegeta,
and that brick on King Kai's planet. That one was really effective.
And Majin Buu. And it's got the Spirit Bomb is roughly as good as a very good Major League Baseball player when it comes to batting.
You know what? Solid argument. I can't top that. You win.
But anyways, I'll kick it back over to you and do for our episode recaps as we finish off our Frieza Saga, and then we'll do our usual manga comparison.
All right. So, we're starting off with episode 102 this week, titled Duel of a Vanishing Planet. So yes, this fight is in fact still going, but all distractions and machinations have been swept aside, and there's nothing left but an epic grudge match remaining. Can Goku get the win before Namek explodes? Despite everyone else being in relatively safety for this clash, there's still plenty of worry to go around. They're all trying to come to terms with the idea that Goku's basically doomed. Piccolo reflects on the profound impact Goku has had on his life. Vegeta somehow doesn't try to take over Earth. He does kind of threaten it, though. And Frog Ginyu catches a boot to the face, which he deserves, so that's nice. The fight continues to rage, but neither fighter seemingly gaining an upper hand. In fact, this episode seems to be focused on everything except for the fight. Everyone keeps poking holes in Vegeta's bid for galactic domination, though, so that's still kind of fun. Also, the animation is kind of painful in this episode, so the bits of fighting that we do see don't look great. Everyone continues to wring their hands over a fight they can't witness, while those of us who can witness it wish it was a bit more polished. But the art does pick up a bit at the end.
Did Frieza look a little off model in these episodes to you?
Everybody looked off model. The art in this episode's rough.
Yeah, it also depends. I mean, we don't pay super close attention to this on our show, but the guys over at We Got a Podcast really do when they do their episodes. Mm-hmm. Different episodes go through different animation houses, and this was potentially one of the less good ones where you would expect it to not be so good. I don't know for sure. It could just be an unfortunately poor episode from a good animation house. We'll have to do that at some future time, is spend some time looking at the different animation houses. That's an idea for a future episode.
Ooh, yeah, that actually does sound really good. But yeah, eventually the art does pick up towards the end. But the fight is still going, so maybe we'll get a better look next episode, which is 103, titled The Pathos of Frieza. So we're now at less than the 1 minute mark for the explosion of Namek. This has gotta be the last episode. It starts with plenty of action, but then we get sidetracked to Kaiosama, who recaps the fight against Frieza so far. Okay, that's a choice. They even review how Frieza destroyed Namek's core, giving it a 5-minute timer. Am I having a fever dream right now? A stroke? At least the fight animation is looking crisp this episode. Bulma tries an old fortune-telling bit about burning leaves in a circle that bodes ill for Goku, but Gohan and Piccolo are still certain that Goku will make it back. The fight continues with Frieza getting the upper hand, but from the dirt, Goku asks Frieza if this is all that he's got. Frieza takes offense, but it would seem that Goku has a good read on him now. He's starting to anticipate Frieza's moves, he's reliably winning trades, and starting to put a hurting on Frieza. As the gaps on the surface of the planet widen, so too does the gap between our fighters. Goku calls eventually for a halt. He's seen what Frieza has to offer, and he figures it's all just downhill from here. He powers down and flies off. Frieza clearly is not going to accept mercy or Goku just flying away from him, so he takes a parting Destructo Disc and commits to kill or be killed. But what's this? Frieza's Destructo Disc is remote controlled, unlike Krillin's. So Goku is now caught in a game of chase, and the clock is ticking, which brings us to episode 104, titled Frieza Defeated. Finally! He's defeated. It's right there in the title. It has to be the end, right? We're down to mere moments until Namek's destruction. The planet is a literal hellscape. Goku's trying to use Frieza's technique against him, which results in nobody landing a killing blow. Goku calls Frieza out yet again for lacking skills, so Frieza adds another Destructo Disc to juggle, but Goku seems unimpressed by this tactic. Vegeta waxes poetic about his days working for a maniac and being one himself. He's feeling pretty sure of his supremacy and the fallout of this fight. A fight we should be getting a conclusion to here any second, I hope. And oh, wait, there it is. Frieza is just julienned by his own Destructo Discs. Goku has won. Frieza begs for his life, and Goku extends mercy to Frieza by supplying him with a little energy. With that, Goku begins his search for a way off Namek. Still less than a minute to go, by the way, so literal seconds until the planet blows up. Which brings us to episode 105, titled Mighty Blast of Rage. Frieza's in pieces, and Goku has spared his life by supplying him with energy. Is this part of the story where the villain tries to change their ways, eventually working their way into our intrepid group of heroes? There's almost a literal sigh of relief from the Grand Elder. Oh, no, wait, that's a death rattle. Oh, and Namek's Dragon Balls decide to fly all the way to Earth in like 5 minutes. Kind of wrap your brain around that one for a second. The Dragon Balls themselves have faster than light travel. Just awesome. The Grand Elder passes on this title and ownership of the Dragon Balls, I guess. He wishes for unending peace for his people, then fades away into nothingness while being mourned by his people. And then there's like this accompanying flashback that goes along with it. We also learn that Namek's Dragon Balls can bring back people multiple times so long as they haven't died of a natural death. Good news for Krillin and Chaozu. Speaking of unnatural death, Frieza is taking Goku's mercy and using it to gloat in his face about dying when the planet blows up. What a sore loser. Seems like a dumb thing to do when you're barely alive yourself. Goku flies off, which then again re-triggers Frieza's pride and yet another flashback, which drives him to try one last-ditch sneak attack. Goku overpowers it easily. Frieza screams in agony, explodes, and that's it. Frieza's reign over the galaxy is over. Goku then spends several seconds brooding over Frieza's grave instead of looking for his ship. How? We hit the end of this episode, and it's still not over. We still have more episodes to go. So episode 106 is titled Namek's Explosion ... Goku's End? ? God, I hope so. I mean, sounds like we're finally getting to the end of this arc. Goku has defeated Frieza and is looking for a way to get off Namek before it explodes. Kaiosama recaps all of the boys on his planet, which hurts so much. It's like a long recap too, like it's clearly padding for time, which just it's painful. Goku tries to use Frieza's ship to escape, but given its extensive damage, it's a no-go. It's looking like curtains for Goku, but the Namekian Dragon Balls can revive people who've already died, so I guess this ain't so bad, right? Loving that we get to see Goku's own ship in the explosion just before everything goes up, by the way. Like, hey, dummy, you forgot about your own ship. Yamcha passes on the news to Bulma via Kaio Ansible, I guess. She lets him know that they'll still be able to revive him with the Namekian Dragon Balls. Then Kaiosama drops yet another bomb. Bringing back Krillin and Goku would just respawn them in the middle of space. Vegeta takes a victory lap and teases Gohan, then gets slapped around by said 6-year-old. He then beats the tar out of Gohan in response, but then decides not to kill him because Piccolo said so. And then he flies away. Real ruler of the galaxy energy here. Which brings us to episode 107, titled Goku's Alive, and also just like a huge glaring plot hole in like the first 5 minutes. Ignore the title. Also ignore that Gohan just got the crap beat out of him and Vegeta flew off because no he didn't. We get a similar yet different scene of Bulma recounting why Goku and Krillin can't be revived, and Vegeta being helpful by suggesting they recover the remains before reviving them. They figure out where everyone is going to sleep, which Gohan's kind of hesitant to go home, and given who his mom is, I guess we can all understand. Bulma calls Dr. Briefs, who is just about to launch Chi-Chi and the others into space. Everything... Excellent timing on that one. Everyone is bunking at Bulma's until the Dragon Balls have re-energized, which is 130 days, roughly. We're talking about the Namekian Dragon Balls, by the way, not the Earth ones, so that's why the discrepancy. But yeah, so Namek's Dragon Balls work every 130 days. Everybody gets together to bring all of the other Z-Warriors back to life and finally be reunited. So, what are the 3 wishes this time? Well, never mind that. First, let's summon Purunga in the middle of a city and cause a huge panic. They call the spirits of Goku and Krillin to Earth, Krillin being a success, but not Goku. It turns out he's still alive, so he must be stuck somewhere in space, I guess. They go ahead and bring Krillin back, which is another success. Then they try to bring Goku home, except Goku turns it down, which this also kind of implies that, like, the dragon's wishes are fully dependent on like
the
target
will of
accepting
the
it. Will of the target, I guess, which is an interesting little caveat that will probably not get explored. Vegeta surmises that he must be training, and he hijacks one of the Capsule Corp spaceships and flies off. Piccolo tells Bulma to wish someone back to life instead, and Bulma seems unsure when deciding who to bring back. One of the choices is her dead boyfriend, by the way. Just throwing that reminder out there. She's having trouble figuring out who to revive, and she has a dead boyfriend. Yikes. Yamcha does end up being the decision, but he's brought back and dropped in a fountain. So just another L for Yamcha for no reason. Also, he's revived, and the first person to hug him is his cat/roommate. Jeez, Bulma. 130 days later, and they revive Tien and Chaozu. Then the Namekians take off for a new planet. With things back to normal for the most part, life goes back to what it was. And that's where we end for our recap this week.
Did you notice that, so they make all their wishes on the Namekian Dragon Balls, like the bring everyone to Earth, and then the stones crash down. And then they're like, 130 days later, they make the wishes to bring Krillin and Goku, and that Goku to wish doesn't work anyways. But they say it's been 130 days.
Yeah.
When Vegeta is there witnessing the dragon and everything, right before he takes off, he is still wearing his battle-damaged outfit from Namek. In 130 days, this dude hasn't changed his clothes.
Well, it's because he lives on Earth now, and it's a capitalist hellscape, and he would have to get a job to pay for clothes, and a prince is not going to get a job. That's not how oligarchs work.
So that was I noticed that, and I was like, that's funny.
There's like a lot of like incorrect clothes on characters, because I think there was a point earlier on in the arc where like Krillin was wearing for like a split second flies up in the air and he's in his old like Kame House like orange gi.
Yeah,
when he's supposed to be wearing Saiyan battle armor.
Yeah.
So there's been tons of moments like that throughout this whole arc.
We've talked about this. They were like borderline animating these things live on the air.
Basically. They weren't too far from using like paper cutouts in front of like and doing like a puppet show.
But yes, we've talked throughout this arc how the pacing wasn't quite as frustrating as we had remembered, with a few exceptions here and there.
Yeah.
But then I feel like we get to these episodes, and this should be like the climactic big payoff of your fight, and they're like, how about first we recap the entire fight? And you're like, oh no, please no.
Yeah.
please stop.
Yeah.
These 6 episodes could be
I was
2?
going to say 1, but sure. I'll take 2 over 6.
These are some of the most poorly paced episodes we've come across of this entire show, honest to
To
God.
the point where, like, the bit where I poke fun about, like, Vegeta beating up Gohan and flying off, and then the next episode, no, that never happened. Like, you can tell, like, that thing you were describing earlier where, like, different episodes go through different animation houses, that seems like a perfect example of, like, one episode went to one house, and this episode went to another one, and they didn't talk about, like, how the previous episode ended.
For sure. Whoops.
Oopsie doodle.
But there is a lot to like still. It is these episodes where Goku just slaps Frieza around, right? Like,
Yeah.
like literally just open hand, just psh, 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 like,
Yep.
stuff like that is fun. That's
Yeah.
cool because that's like,
Especially and the really and as not perfect as these last 6 episodes are, the reason why that payoff feels so good is because they did such a good job of setting up Frieza throughout this entire arc.
and as rough as the pacing is, it's not as if the end of all this is dissatisfying in any way.
Yeah.
It
It
is all
little stuff.
It is all satisfying. I don't want to get too into a tangent on it yet. I feel like when we hit the actual end, we will do a discussion of all of the supposed end points. This is one that people point to very often as like, oh, Toriyama intended it to end here. And like the intended ending was that Goku would be dead and Gohan would be sort of the heir apparent, and Vegeta is reformed by his death experience and all that, and everyone just kind of lives happily ever after. There's never been any evidence of that. We will go into greater detail, like I said, I think when we get to like the end of Z, and if not when we get to the end of Z, then definitely when we get to the end of the Cell arc, because that's another spot that people point to very, very often.
There's a part of me that wonders if, like, a lot of these mangaka and even like authors or even like these comic book companies and stuff, there's part of me that wonders that like these writers and these artists that get into this and they go, oh yeah, no, I want to be popular, I want to be able to like tell my story. Like, how many of them hit that point in their story where like, okay, this is kind of where I thought the story was going to end, and then the company that's paying the bills goes, no, keep going.
And that's the other thing. Like,
they get kind of locked into it, you know?
That is the other thing that I'll say about all of these supposed endings is like, even though you can and we will kind of point out all the kind of holes in the argument of Toriyama definitely intended to end it here, you also can't ever really take that off the table, because the idea of ending or not ending a franchise as big as Dragon Ball is not a like 1 week discussion. It's not like Toriyama went in with the very last chapter of the Frieza Saga where it's like, Goku is now dead, and Gohan is going to maintain peace in the galaxy, and handed it to Torishima, and Torishima wasn't his editor at that point, but still, he didn't walk in with that, hand it to his editor, and his editor go, oh, absolutely not, rewrite these last 2 pages to keep the story going.
Yeah.
If Toriyama had like broached the subject of wanting to end it at the end of the Frieza Saga, it's that conversation is happening months before the end, and the decision is happening months before he's allowed or not allowed to end it. So you can never fully say that it wasn't the intent. You can't ever completely 100% debunk it, because the conversation is not that
I'd
fast.
also say that you can't debunk it, because if he was wanting to quit it at the end of the peel-off arc, I feel fairly confident that if at any point Jump was like, hey, you don't have to do this anymore, he'd have been like, okay, cool, I'm done.
Also, probably that. Yes, he's more than financially set at this point. But yeah, I don't think there's not like any real indication by anyone that it was intended to be the ending. It's just looking back on it with a lot of people do think of this as like sort of the moment where Dragon Ball kind of peaked, where and I'll say to an extent to a certain extent they're right, because this is kind of the last time that Dragon Ball really pushes forward with everything that it had been pushing forward up through this point of like, once a character has outlived their usefulness, we just move past them. Who cares? We're done with that character. Like, yes, Yamcha still sticks around, but like for jokes, he's not like a main character anymore.
Yeah.
We've even kind of moved past Krillin at this point. We've moved past Tien and Chaozu and we've kind of moved past Piccolo at this point, right? And so this is kind of the last time where Dragon Ball really does that. From now on, like, this cast of characters that we have, for the most part, is basically just the cast of characters, like, still moving forward. We don't, like, forget about characters anymore. And so there is, like, a bit of a change from that point of view. But it's just, like, a lot of people point to this as sort of, like, the peak moment where if it had ended, there'd be, like, it'd be basically perfect, and so it's easy to kind of rewrite this just a little bit to be like the ending.
Sure.
And I think that's where a lot of the rumors come from. But we'll do our usual little brief kind of... Oh, I did want to actually mention, I didn't like write up notes on it or anything, but I kind of looked into the burning leaves with fire thing.
Okay.
That is not... Like, that specific, explicit practice is not a thing that at least I found. I didn't look into it very hard, I'll admit. But it wasn't like, oh, this is definitely a thing that they do. But the general idea of burning a leaf, and usually it's like bay leaves and things actually, is you write your desires and intentions on a bay leaf. It is a manifestation practice, and you burn the leaf, and the smoke visualizes its intention being sent out into the universe and being sort of manifested. Like, you take it from a wish on a leaf into a thing that has been manifested into the world. You have released that wish and made it a thing that's in the world. That's sort of where that kind of comes
I hope
from.
nobody tries to keep that a secret.
What?
That's a niche reference. There's probably like 2 other people that'll get that one.
Oh.
No, there was
I
this
don't
book
get
called
it.
The Secret that was like hugely popular back in the day because of Oprah, because why not? Like, it was that whole thing about like manifesting what you want and putting it out into the world.
Okay.
I guess this fell
Anyways.
flat like the Kendrick reference earlier.
Nobody listening knows about that, though.
Yeah, I know, and that's why I'm going to leave it vague, so nobody knows.
No, we've got our oh, see, now if you want to know what that reference is all about, just donate money. just what you think is a fair amount to get that story.
And then I'll determine if that's enough to get the story.
There is also just to kind of keep going on this burning stuff thought. In ancient Greece and Rome, priestesses of Apollo would burn laurel leaves to gain insight into the future. The crackling sound from leaves was considered a positive omen, so they would hope for loud burns. That was called daphnemancy. There's also pyromancy, which is divination of smoke and fire, which is like, this is just frankly complete nonsense. It's like reading tea leaves type of stuff, where
Yeah, I get you.
you look at the patterns of the smoke and the way it rises and billows through the air, and you're like, oh, that's a good omen or a bad omen or a whatever. And then in Japan, there is like a history of doing this too. Like, they have festivals where they burn their prayer sticks to sort of, again, like put those thoughts out into the world. It's called, it's the Goma fire ritual practiced in esoteric Buddhism. They also light bonfires during Oban to guide spirits of the deceased ancestors back to the afterlife. So there's a long history in human culture of burning things as an omen and burning things to predict the future or think you can predict the future. And also, apparently, Dende can just manifest fire from his hands.
Sure, why not?
He
can heal people from almost dead, but with his hands.
He's the Swiss Army Namekian.
Now I'm just picturing him in red robes with the white Swiss cross on her. And then he pulls his arm in his robe and then like out pumps like a different tool that's needed.
Like a spork.
It's like hammer
or
space
tweezers.
in his sleeve.
Okay, so I both forgot where we left off in the manga last time and didn't feel like going back to check. So
that's completely understandable.
So I just started because, hey, reading this is awesome and fun and enjoyable, and Toriyama's art slaps. I just started from after they kill Ginyu, basically.
Okay.
So I'm sure that meant I reread some of this stuff because I think we had talked about like the Frieza battle between Nail and Frieza last time.
Yeah.
We did a manga thing, but there's kind of a funny thing. The moment when they steal the Dragon Balls like from Vegeta while he's napping, and they're flying through the air, it says tiptoe, even though they're flying. I thought that was just kind of,
Maybe they're talking about the landing, like when you land softly.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because they're drawn to look almost as if they are tiptoeing, and it gets back to that idea of flight being cloud walking. But I can almost
point.
But I can also almost guarantee that nobody on the Viz team was aware of that. And I think it's like almost way more likely that they looked at this one drawing, which it's not like the worst, but it's also not like the best in terms of being able to tell that they are flying. And it just looks like they're like on their tiptoes and being like, tiptoe.
There's a small part of me that was hoping that like Toriyama started drawing the frame and realized, oh no, wait, I can't draw them tiptoeing, they were flying. Whatever.
It could also be like that's another thing where, you know, when people talk about the very best way to read Dragon Ball is to know Japanese and read it in its original Japanese. That's also actually one of the reasons is because Toriyama actually did like to use English lettering on his own sometimes. And so if you are fluent in Japanese and you can read it in its original language and its original format, you can get a better appreciation for like what the intention was. If that was a thing that Toriyama did, or if that was a translation thing. I don't know. Because I've only ever read the Viz version, basically.
Also, just read it in general, because it's just a condensed version of the anime, and the art is gorgeous all the way through.
Always good. Like, always good. That's a thing I see even currently on like a lot of social media. I just saw a comment today that was like, it was to the effect of, I can't handle that every time I open Dragon Ball, I'm presented with the reality that someone as good at paneling action as Toriyama existed.
Right? And I was going to say, very similarly, I was surprised with how many frames and shots in the manga were created 1-to-1 for the anime.
Yeah,
Because
especially
normally
like
you don't
the
see that, especially not like this time frame.
and especially like the transformation frames, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was surprised how detailed Toriyama got in the transformations, but while also managing to make economical use of the space.
Mhm.
He doesn't spend pages upon pages upon pages and panels upon panels upon panels to a Frieza transformation. Like, him going from his second form to his third gets 3 pages and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 panels.
Yeah, that's actually not bad at
Like,
all.
that's not a crazy amount, and yet he completely gets the exact feel of that transformation across, and it's like the anime does it also. And I mean, it I think I have no problems with the way the anime does any of the transformations. I think did we talk about that? Like, that's a place where I think the anime actually improves by having slower pacing, like in that instance, by taking these transformations and drawing them out and making them seem more epic. It makes them seem more epic and makes them like bombastic centerpieces of episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Toriyama manages to still present those transformations while also being economical with his space. I think that's fantastic.
I'm wondering because like there's like this idea that certain people who don't like to do a lot of work can be very creative in getting something done very efficiently. And I'm wondering if, and I know I understand, like, we take the piss about Toriyama like not wanting to do the work and stuff like that, right? But like, when you look at the actual artwork and when you look at the pages and how everything is laid out and everything, this man did an incredible amount of work for this.
Oh yeah.
So the idea that like he was like running up against his deadlines and stuff makes a lot more sense when you look at this, because he was probably devoting a lot of his time to making sure everything looked exactly the way that he wanted it. And he wanted everything to look exactly the way that it was because I think he was trying to convey as much information as he could as quickly as possible, especially for like these long protracted like fights.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if like that silly joke that we play around that he was like lazy, I'm wondering if there was an aspect to that where it's like, well, I don't want to have to draw a bunch of extra pages and frames just to get this point across. Let me just see how quickly I can do it, you know?
Yeah. Like you said, we take the piss out of it all the time, but the reality is he worked a lot, because you look at this and this is really detailed and everything. Mm-hmm. He is also at this same time doing other manga. Like, Dragon Ball is not the only thing he's drawing at this time. We've talked about that, and we talked about it. We did a whole episode on Akira Toriyama's manga theater. He was doing one-shots for Shueisha and for Jump, and around this time he's also around this time no a little bit past this time, but still he is actually heavily involved in the first few issues of V Jump, which is where ultimately Dragon Ball Super has been published.
Okay.
So because he does stuff for the first few issues of V Jump. He's also doing character design work for Dragon Quest. He's also doing Chrono Trigger. Like, we say he's lazy, and I think a lot of that just comes from him and his attitude towards it, because he's actually not lazy. He's actually working a crazy amount. But he
gives off this air of like it's not a ton of effort for him, and he just wants to be done with the work. But when you realize that full context of how much work he was doing, that attitude makes way more sense. Also, just quick aside, I picked up they did a re-release for Dragon Quest 1 and 2, and I picked that up and I've been playing it. And it's been excellent. It's been a good time.
I'll have to maybe check that out. I've never played a Dragon Quest game, so his attitude too is it's people sit back and they the stories, which are at least partially true, of like he ran out of time to color in the Super Saiyan hair, and also he didn't want to color in the hair every time, so he was like, oh, just make him blonde. That's easy, problem solved. That makes it seem like he was extremely lazy. I think it was more he was just very open about how
little time he had to actually do all of the work.
He was very open about how, like, he was just very open about not enjoying working. The just like anybody else, like he just happened to have a job that most of us would think is really, really cool. But at the end of the day, it is still work, and you're still working 8 hours a day, and he just liked to complain about working.
Which, again, given how much work he was doing, I get it, man.
Yeah. Very fair. None of us likes to work. So, moving along still in the manga, a couple other notes I had. There's some Namekian written down both as symbols and as sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Namekian is a completely entirely made up language. I think in the Japanese it's made by like just flipping the syllables for like everything that you want to say just backwards. But I know Derek Padula at one point was going to be working on attempting to translate the Namekian language and see if he could come up with anything. I don't know if he got anywhere with that, but I do know if you're curious about that, I would look into Derek Padula, look into his site, The Tao of Dragon Ball, and see if he has come up with anything on that. One of the differences I noticed, again, the differences get pretty little, but when Piccolo says, "Hey, wish me back and bring me to Namek," nobody reacts to that. Like in the anime, when Piccolo's like, "Bring me to Namek," King Kai is like, "Whoa, hey, I specifically told you not to do that."
Yeah.
That doesn't happen. That exchange doesn't happen in the manga. I just found that kind of a little interesting. Again, certain things like the beatdowns, especially like Krillin getting speared and Frieza's really sadistic pleasure in that, and like the way that he bounces him around on his horn and like licks the blood off his lips. It doesn't pack the same impact, and some of that is not even in the manga. And so,
yeah,
because Toriyama's being a little more economical with his space, some of the beatdowns feel a lot more intense in the anime because they are just lingering on guys getting holes punched in their chest and stuff.
I think another one is like when he's got Vegeta by the neck and he's just like punching him in the back. I think that's only like a couple frames.
Yeah. Although I did feel like the beating of Gohan when Gohan finally challenges Frieza in his second form actually did still feel sufficiently brutal, because what they both did, but what the manga specifically is really building up the tension of like, will Piccolo get there in time?
Yeah.
And so I thought that was great. There's a moment where, and I don't know if I didn't catch this in the anime or if, again, because I've been watching them dubbed, and part of me watching them dubbed is because I do think like it's fun occasionally to see some of the significant differences. Mm-hmm. There's a moment in the manga when Vegeta is like forcing Krillin to attack him, where Krillin is like, "How could I couldn't even hurt you. You're like way stronger than me." And Vegeta's like, "Oh, I'll suppress my ki all the way down." I don't remember him saying. I don't remember him saying that in the anime. Yeah.
No, he doesn't. That's interesting, because that implies that like their power level is not just their offense but also their defense, which I guess makes sense really when you think about it.
Yeah. It's like how Goku can get hurt by getting slapped by Chi-Chi and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's a moment when Goku and Frieza first meet. in the anime, he says, "You must be Frieza. I thought you'd be taller." In the manga, again, I'm reading the Viz translation. I don't know if this is translated differently in other translations or if this is the original intention in Japanese. He says, "You must be Frieza. You're younger than I expected."
Huh.
Which is odd.
That's different.
Yeah. Because there is like the title page for the chapter when they first meet each other is that I feel like it's borderline a meme, but it's definitely artwork that you've seen shared all over the place of Goku and Frieza having their stare down and Goku like bending down because Frieza's so much shorter than him.
Yeah.
So yeah, it feels like Toriyama is on the wavelength of like height, but the line in the manga that I read was, "You're younger than you look younger than I would have thought." I also thought the manga made it a little less obvious that Goku was only using the Kaioken in instantaneous little bursts than the anime did.
Okay.
I don't know if you picked up on that. I thought because King Kai is like,
because
he's
in the anime they kind of imply that he's just got it going all the time.
No, in the anime they imply he's only using it in bursts. In the manga, they're like, "Oh, he's still got the Kaioken he could use," and King Kai's like, "No, he's already using it." And they don't ever really draw, like Toriyama never really draws an aura around Goku during this at any point to show a Kaioken aura around him, really.
Yeah.
That's different than the anime then shows us like almost like a compilation of previous moments from the fight, but it shows Goku like turning Kaioken like on and off.
Yeah.
So that was like, again, these are like tiny little things, but at this point the manga or the anime is running at like such a slow pace that it is adapting like one for one. The cover art for chapter 90 has Goku as Ginyu riding Nimbus. I thought that was really cool. And what else? The author notes at the end I thought were kind of fun. He says in the one that his hand has started to hurt and he's hoping to go to the doctor and be told he needs to take time off of work. But just when he was going to schedule his doctor's appointment, he started feeling better. And he's like, "So I guess I won't be scheduling that doctor's appointment or
Poor
taking
guy
any
just
time
can't
off."
catch a break.
And then another note, just to give some personal insight into Toriyama, says that he had just welcomed his second child, his daughter, and he says he wound up being a bit of a softie with his son, but always assumed that when he had his second, he'd finally be the strict parent that he envisioned himself being and promised himself he would be with his second one. And then it was a little girl and she like melted his heart instantly and was like, "How could I be strict with you?"
Typical girl dad.
So very much typical parent in general. Like, "Oh, I'm never going to let my kids have screen time and I'm going to make sure they do that." And then like you get 2 weeks into that and you're like, "Oh my God, just take your iPad and leave me alone. I need a drink." Just go somewhere and be quiet. That's kind of all I had in terms of like pointing out any differences or anything like that. It is more just read this because it's really good.
It is. It's so good. And it looks so pretty.
So, we're at the end of the Frieza arc. What would you give the Frieza arc? Oh, the last thing I'll say, actually, before we get into that, is I'm unsure if I was surprised. I'm unsure how I feel about how the manga ends this with like it ends with Frieza being back already.
Yeah, like everyone gets wished back, and then like the last page of that last chapter is the stinger of, oh, here's Frieza and his dad.
Yeah. It's tough because I get the you want to do it because you gotta like
You
you
gotta
gotta
you gotta
tickle
make sure
their
people buy next week's issue.
yeah, you gotta tickle their balls a little.
Yeah.
No, 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 you gotta tickle their balls a little bit.
But at the same time, it feels so like that feels so tacked
Yeah,
on.
just a bit.
And I like that the anime ends with like a all is well. Even if the
Because
manga had done like a all is well for now ...
yeah, I could see that because this is probably like one of my only complaints about the manga version is that immediately showing a revived Frieza just kind of undercuts everything that everybody just went through.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think. I've now like read through all the manga because, like I said, I read it with my son, so we didn't stop and wait for our podcasts to go for the next 10 years to read this. And I think in Super, I'm trying to think. I think the arc right before Moro ends in like the way I'm suggesting almost of like all seemed to be well for now ... and then in the furthest reaches of space more trouble was brewing, and like it was it's a teaser for something else is going to happen, but it's a much more subtle sort of version of that.
Okay.
So we're at the end of the Frieza arc. As we do when we get to the end of arcs, what would you give the Frieza Saga? How about we do a couple different things?
Okay.
We'll do just the Frieza Saga. So this is like from the end of Ginyu to the end of this.
Okay.
Anime and manga. And then all of this Namek stuff from the end of from the defeat of Vegeta through the defeat of Frieza.
Okay. For just the Frieza arc, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 7. I think it's pretty good, and I don't think I've shied away from talking about that. My favorite arc is the one that's coming up, the Android arc. So I can't give it a perfect score, but it's pretty close. Like it's only a couple of minor things away from being perfect, and really it's for both the manga and the anime. It's 6 out of 7, and then they're just not perfect for different reasons. For the manga, I think that ending undercuts a lot of the work that you just did. Obviously, who am I to talk? He's the he's the master of all things Dragon Ball, not me. But for me personally, it kind of undercuts it. And then for the anime, it's just there's the pacing issues, the animation quality kind of being all over the place depending on what episode you're watching. That just keeps it from being like the peak of Dragon Ball. It's very minor things, but it's an excellent story arc overall. And then for the whole Namek thing, for the manga, again, it's a 6 out of 7. Again, it's just little tiny things that I'm being nitpicky about that keep it from being perfect. And for the anime, again, it's the pacing, it's the weird like fake Namek filler bit. And I guess they were trying to go for like the feel of more like original Dragon Ball like adventure style stuff. But it's also like, well, wait a minute. These guys have been farting around on a fake planet when like real serious stuff is going down on Namek.
People are dying.
Yeah, but overall, again, it's still a 6 out of 7. Like the stuff that I'm complaining about, it's like minor stuff, and when you actually look at like the major plot points and like how everything came together, they still did a fantastic job.
Okay.
So yeah, 6 out of 7s across the board. That's my final answer.
I'm gonna be a little controversial,
Okay.
and give the anime version of just the Frieza portion a 5 out of 7.
Ooh. Okay.
I don't think I have anything new to add particularly, but like the pacing is a drag, and
Mm-hmm.
it's when we're talking about just this, like what we are calling the Frieza arc, this is the blow off of your story essentially, and when that has sketchy pacing, it drags for me.
Yeah.
And that's like, now I'm saying it drags in that I think it's still like great. Like like a 5 out of 7 is like a 4 out of 5. Like it's still great.
Yeah.
It's just not as great as some of the rest of it. Manga, I'll do a 6 out of 7, and again, I think it's tough because in the manga, this amount of space is about one total volume. You'd have to you need 2 books in order to read it, but so I guess it's 3 volumes, but still, you need 2 of these 3-in-1s in order to read it. You need number 3 and number 4, but if you were to condense it into one, it would just kind of stand on its own, but I don't think the story in the manga stands on its own quite enough. Now, when we go to the manga of everything from the end of Vegeta through the end of Frieza, I think it's perfect. I think it's a 7 out of 7. I think it is everything a manga should be. And if you could just take that and condense it into probably, I think it would be like 2 volumes, which would be 6, because I'm reading the Vizbigs, but you could hand that to someone and say, here, read this. And this is like,
time. Yeah.
It again gets kind of back to, I think I said this during the Demon King Piccolo arc, of this is in this 6 volumes, which will take you a week at most to read, you get everything that Dragon Ball has. You get incredible art, cool character designs, great fighting, great battles, transformations, evildoers, heroes. You get the Dragon Balls themselves. You even get some, I'm gonna avoid the word itself, but you even get some effery. if you know what F I'm talking about, but you get some of that with like the rules and the Dragon Balls themselves.
Yeah.
And like that's a thing that Dragon Ball has. And so you get everything that Dragon Ball has in the Namek / Frieza overall arc, and I absolutely love that about it. In the anime, I'll go just a slight step down and say the 6 out of 7. Again, the pacing I think is kind of the biggest issue, but I will say at least the lead up, probably from, once we start really getting on Namek up until probably up until Goku goes Super Saiyan, and maybe even an episode or 2 after.
Yeah.
Even with some of the stodgy pacing in there, I don't have a really big problem with the overall pacing.
Yeah.
It's really just it's really just these like last 5 episodes.
Yep.
But when we talk about like the Frieza arc, that is a more significant chunk of the pacing. But so overall, I come across as like a 6 out of 7 on an average, but like, yeah, there's a little bit less on the anime portion of this and a little bit more on the manga. I think the manga it consistently blows me away, and that's as someone who, this is at least the like 4th time I've seen all these Frieza arc episodes probably. And the manga still just continually like blows me away with how good it is. It's absolutely Toriyama was an absolute master.
Agreed. I don't. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that's the general consensus. Nothing controversial about that part.
No. So, well, that's all I have for today.
That's all I got. Good stuff. Go read it, folks.
Yes. Are you guys about done? Just finishing up, actually.
Good, because I think we've cracked the calculations and can send you back.
Obedient and useful? Seriously, would you like to swap bikinis?
As much as it seems like they probably have a little calmer and better here, I wouldn't look forward to having every autocannon and DNA scan consider me a threat.
That's for you to worry about. I would like a competent co-host.
Listen to you. I've saved you at least as often as you've saved me, and
That's rich coming out of you. You know what? If I had a dime for every time you didn't know what was going on...
It's only because I don't know what's going on half the time that I ever listen to you at all, you know.
What are you implying about my leadership skills? Enough! Jeez. Bikini?
Yeah?
No, I meant my bikini.
On it.
You don't even have to explain what you want? He just does it? We have a partnership. You should try it sometime.
See?
Okay, I think that's enough out of this place. Send us back.
Punching in the coordinates, and... there. That portal should take you back where you were taken from.
Excellent.
What if we want to... Whoa, what if we don't want to go right back to when and where we were taken from?
What? Yeah, what?
What if Mustatai is still waiting for us back there?
I suppose I hadn't considered that. So, yeah. What if we want to tweak where we wind up and place us back into Frieza-controlled space or something?
Well, I could tweak the calculations, but there are complex equations governing this kind of travel, and even the tiniest changes could throw the numbers way off.
Listen, I'm not here for a physics lesson. Just make it happen.
Well, I could try. Oh, I have a bad feeling about this.
Why does Bikini have a bad feeling about this? Will his fears prove true or wind up being unfounded? Find out next time and help us achieve our final forum. That's how you end your shows?
Final Form is written and produced by Tom Gwelly. It is performed by Dan Kinney and Tom Gwelly. Our webmaster is Dan Kinney. Our theme music is provided by YouTube content creator GVG Kid. Want to learn more about the Dragon Ball universe, including concept art, behind-the-scenes interviews, and recommendations from Jelli and Bekinney? Connect with us on social media. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Final Forum Pod. Make sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you receive your podcasts. And of course, make sure to share it with your friends and family and help us spread the word of the glory of Lord Frieza. The Frieza Force thanks you for your listenership.